Hey, welcome to our shop just outside Kennesaw here in North Georgia. My name's Larry. Today's project, we've got a mid-century modern dining set that needs to be fully restored. This video is going to focus on the chairs. I'll shoot another video that'll focus on the table, and I'll post them both together. So here we go with the chairs. And here's one of the chairs we're dealing with. You can see it's a mid-century design, walnut colored. But what we're going to do first off is we're going to clean these so I don't have to work with them in the condition that they're in. So the next step for these is to take them outside and give them a good scrubbing. Hey, we're back inside. I've got all the parts of the chair marked. The system that I use is I mark the leg 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then every piece that intersects with the leg is also marked to 1. So when you do the whole chair, it's really almost impossible to put it together backwards. Without this marking system, I don't know what I would do because I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So this works real well for me. So we're going to start to disassemble this chair. Again, the main rule is do no harm. So if it's not coming apart, it's going to stay together. But if it's loose, we're going to do our best to get it apart, get it cleaned up so we can re-glue it. So let's get to work. Okay, the first thing we want to do is take these corner blocks out. These are screwed in. Usually they're glued and screwed, but in general they come out. If they don't come out easily, they'll come out with a love tap with a hammer. And these of course serve to brace the frame of the chair, and they also provide a place for the seat to get screwed down to. Okay, let's see if we can get this out. It's been glued in as well. And it's going to make me eat my words. That's glued in there really well. If I just keep wailing on this, I run the risk of breaking these rails. So what I'm going to do is get the heat gun, heat this up, and see if we can get this off. What we're going to do here is blow hot air onto this glue joint to see if we can loosen it up. Drive a putty knife in there to break it up. This looks to me like it's been relatively recently re-glued, which is not good news for us. Sometimes if you just heat the knife with the heat gun, it'll work its way down in between the two pieces of wood.
There, maybe you can see we're starting to make some progress. So let me turn you off and focus on this and try to get these blocks separated from each other.
And the joint between the seat of the chair and the back of the chair is normally the one that will fail. These are loose and they're starting to come apart. They're held in but with 3 dowels on each side, but they're not completely loose to the point where they're just going to fall off for us. So it's going to take some effort to get these off. You can see how loose these are. And hopefully you can see those 3 dowels in there. But that's the joint we're trying to pop loose on the other side. So give me some time, hopefully I'll get it. Finally. Now here's the joint where the back of the chair frame meets the rail, and here's a decorative backsplat. This is coming apart extremely easily. This is probably where a lot of the wiggling was come from, and you can see up here at the top that's popping right out too. Finally, and no damage, by the way. There you go. That chair is completely disassembled, and you can see why we marked them, because there is no way I would remember how that went back together. So I'm going to start cleaning the joints, and we'll re-glue this, clamp this chair, and move on to the next one. The next step is to make sure that any glue or dirt or whatever that would be in the way of a good glue up is removed. And I'm just using a scraper here to make sure that this surface is clean. And then there's a lot of ways you can clean out the insides of these holes. You can use a slightly undersized drill bit and just spin it by hand, or you can use a small chisel and get in there. And what you're trying to do is just get out any glue that you can that would prevent you from having a nice glue surface. It's pretty interesting. As hard as this chair was to come apart, it was quite loose, and it has very little of the original glue remaining, so go figure. But what I'll do is clean all of this out. You know, a piece like this is where the back splat rests. You know, all of this dirt needs to come out of here so that we have a nice clean glue surface to work with. And then obviously these holes need to be cleaned out carefully prior to gluing up. So that's what I'll be doing now, and when I'm through with that, we'll move on to the glue up. We've got all the joints cleaned out. I've laid it out the way it goes back together, so I make sure everything is where it needs to be, and I suppose it's time to glue it up. So like the cool kids say, there's nothing to it but to do it. I'll set you up, put you on fast forward, and you can watch the circus. And I prepared the screws to go back by running them through the wire wheel to get the little bit of rust off that was on there. And then we put just a little bit of candle wax on them. That'll help them go back in. It's always helpful if you drive the screw so you got just a little tip of it sticking out. It helps you line the block back up to the original hole, original screw holes. So that's how we fix a loose chair. It involves taking it completely apart, cleaning all the joints out, re-gluing it, clamping it, and obviously let it sit overnight and set up. I've got 5 more of these chairs to have to do exactly the same way before we even begin to think about starting to refinish these. So I'll handle that by myself, and we will reconvene when it's time to continue with the refinishing project. I'll see you back here as soon as I'm done with these. Okay, we're getting ready to strip. What I use is a liquid stripper. It's methylene chloride based. You can't get methylene chloride stripper for the general public any longer. It's dangerous. You have to use it in a well-ventilated area. So what I do is I have this enamel bowl. I'm going to pour stripper in. I've got an old brush I'm going to put it on with. I scrub it with 3M pads, and I wear a pair of latex gloves, a pair of chemical resistant gloves, and in my opinion the most important thing is this organic respirator. I just changed the cartridge. I always mark the dates on the cartridge so I know how old they are to protect myself. And I'll be doing this outside to maximize the ventilation that I'll get. Yeah, it's cold and it's uncomfortable, but it's safer than doing it in here. So let me get set up and I'll show you how it goes. Good morning. When we were last together, I was in the midst of stripping these chairs, and I filmed a nice section wrapping up the stripping process and what I thought was an award-winning section on how I sanded these chairs. And then I got inside the house to edit it, and all the video was corrupted. So Sam Peckinpah over here screwed that up for sure. But anyways, these chairs are all stripped. They've all been sanded. I sanded them to 120 using on the flat spots a power sander where I could, and then in most of the places, particularly these concave areas in the back splats, you know, I hand sanded with 120 in some instances with 220. But these are pretty well ready to be colored. What I'm going to do is apply a coat of oil-based wiping stain to the chairs. We'll do that in a medium brown walnut, and then once that dries, we'll be ready to seal them, and after that we'll shoot some lacquer on them and we will be done. So if I don't screw this up too, let's get to putting some colors on these chairs. Here we go. And as we prepare to put the color on, I take this time to examine the chairs again more closely and look for places where I may have missed. And right here is some residual finish. You know, I'm less concerned obviously about the color that may be in the wood. That will blend in perfectly with our stain. But any place we have finish, we want to get that off because that's going to interfere with the penetration of the stain. So I'm just taking an old piece of sandpaper here and knocking that finish off. And this is one of the screws that holds the arm assembly on the one armchair. You can see it's rusted. Let's clean these up and wax them before we reinstall them. I think that looks a whole lot better. And not to beat a dead horse, but again, in preparation for the finishing, I want to go through all of these joints that we re-glued and make sure that we don't have any little bits of glue squeeze out or any bit of you know, dried finish residue that we need to pick out of there. And I'm just using a you know, a small pick and making sure that we clean these corners out again, just to get the best job that we can. And this is the stain I tend to use for walnut mid-century furniture. This is by Mohawk. It's called medium brown walnut. Their part number is MMary 5452076. Doesn't mean that this is any better than any other stain out there, although it does dry in an hour, but I've had really good results with it. Before you use it, obviously you want to stir it. All the solids are on the bottom. Get it as homogeneous as you can. As you put this on with a foam brush, this will give you some idea of the color. And then at some point you just wipe off the excess. There they are in various stages of drying. I think they look nice. Let's let this stain dry. We'll move on to sealing. Okay, it's time to seal these chairs. This is what I use. I shoot it out of a DeVilbiss finish line gun at about 30 psi, which is what DeVilbiss wants. We put my mask on and let's get a coat of sealer on these. Okay, with chairs I like to turn them upside down and shoot the undersides first, then flip them up and get the rest of them. So here we go. And here they all are with their first coat of sealer on them. I think we're off to a pretty good start for getting these finished up. Okay, we'll be back in the shop tomorrow. We'll sand them down, get another coat of sealer on them, and start to top coat them. Good day. See you tomorrow. Good morning and welcome back. It's a cold morning in Georgia this morning. It's about 25 degrees out, but it's supposed to get up into the low 50s when the sun comes up, so that'll be good. Okay, the next step we have to do is sand back the sealer on all these chairs. Some people say you don't need to use sealer, you can just go straight to lacquer. I completely disagree. We put the wood in these chairs through absolute hell. We forcibly disassembled the chairs, we glued them, we stripped them, we scrubbed them with lacquer thinner, we rinsed them with water. The grain is raised, they're extremely rough. By shooting the sealer, it seals the wood. Any of the fibers that are raised are now encapsulated in the sealer, and the sealer is designed to sand off easily, and it takes that roughness with it. And I'm going to try to show that to you up close as we sand these chairs down. In this instance, I'm going to use probably mostly 320 grit. You can use a fine 3M pad, or you can even use 4/0 steel wool, which you've seen me use in the past. But I'm going to probably mostly go with 320 gold sandpaper. So let me bring in, I'll show you what I'm going to do on this one chair here, and then I'll get to it because I got 6 of them to do, and it's going to take a little while. Here we go. Okay, I got you zoomed in on the side of the chair. Hopefully you can hear how rough that is. And I know the heater in the shop is going, and I apologize. But this microfiber cloth is going to catch all along this. So we'll take our 320. And you see how that sealer chalks right up? That's what makes it really nice. And I tell you, this particular product I've really had great results with. And I'm going to sand this. And this is light. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this. As a matter of fact, I'm putting very little pressure at all on this. And I wish you could feel this, but this is butter smooth. Very, very nice. So that's the process. Let me get to it. Oh, it doesn't stick anymore. Okay, after I've got this sanded down, I found that if I just take a microfiber cloth, it does a really good job of pulling all the dust off of and out of the grain. Apologize, the neighbor's lawn care is here. But that's how I get it wiped off, just a microfiber cloth. Okay, the next step is going to be the second step in our colorizing process. And what I want to do is try to pull in some of these light areas by darkening them a little bit. Obviously wood is all different, and when you stain it, some wood takes the stain in one way, some wood takes the stain in another. And what I want to do is just using a toner, which is basically a mix of dye, acetone based dye that I buy from my refinishing shop, some lacquer thinner and a little bit of lacquer. I'm going to spray color on some of these lighter areas and just try to pull the lighter areas a little bit closer to the to the main field, like where this backsplat is. Let me show you on another chair. Probably should have used this one as the example to start with. But you see how light this is? We want to darken that up so it's a little bit closer to that. So the way I'm going to do it is to spray toner on it. I'm going to show you a small part of that inside the shop because the light outside is terrible and you'll never be able to see it. I'm spraying inside the shop. Yes, I know I don't do it often, but I'm doing it solely so that you know, we can get a decent shot of what I'm doing. So let me get set up and we'll do a small part of one chair and then I'll get the rest of them done. Okay, right here, let's see if we can darken that up a little bit. There you go. That's all there is to it. It's not magic. I got lots to do. Let me get to it. Okay, the next step in the process is basically to start top coating it. I use a pre-catalyzed lacquer. I shoot it in 40 sheen, which is satin, and we'll put on probably 3 coats. I'll show a short clip of me shooting some lacquer. It looks exactly the same as when I shot the sealer, but I'll take a short clip of that outside and then I will get to work on getting these chairs top coated. Between top coats I'll lightly sand, usually with some 4/0 steel wool, just to knock down any little nits that might be in the finish. And as I go through, if I notice any little color issues or whatever, I'll just touch them up. But really the next probably 2 days it's just going to be shoot it, let it dry, shoot it, let it dry, that kind of thing. But all that being said, let's go outside and shoot some lacquer. And we're done. 3 coats of lacquer, sanded in between coats, and there they are. The owner is going to recover the chairs himself, so those are just sat on there so you have an idea what they look like. Let me bring you in and take a look at some of the close-ups. And the next part of this project, which I will also video, and there's a link down below, is going to be tackling the table that goes with this set. This big stain here is animal urine. There's a big gouge right here, and there's water stains and all sorts of troubles finish-wise on this table. And then construction-wise on the leaf, we have a lot of veneer issues that we're going to have to take care of. So we'll tackle this one on the next video. But for the chairs, I think this is going to do it. So I hope you enjoyed this project. It was an awful lot of work, but I think it was worth it. These are beautiful chairs. I think he believes they might be from the Brasilia collection, the Broyhill Brasilia collection, because that's what some of the other furniture that they inherited is. It very well could be. I just haven't studied it up. But anyways, they're done. Hope this gave you some inspiration if you're thinking about working on a set of chairs yourself, and give you an understanding of how much work is involved to do it the way we did. So from our shop just outside Kennesaw here in North Georgia, best regards, thanks for watching. Take good care, and remember, it's just wood color and some shiny stuff, and we'll see you on the next video, which is going to be that table. Thanks for watching. Take care, stay well. Bye.